Talk to me a little bit about how your dad came around to agree with you here. I'm not, I don't feel like I'm jumping to that conclusion. Y'all were probably making a lot of these decisions together. And he expressed in his book several times how uneasy he was with, for lack of a better word, Vince Russo's style. And now you're going to have them working together. How are you navigating that as sort of the monkey in the middle?
Like he taught me, and I'm paraphrasing and putting words in other people's mouth, or look, hindsight's 2020. But the reality of the fact was, hey, Dad, you do what you do good. I'm going to do what I do good, and let Vince do what he does good. And at the end of the day, we hope we score a touchdown. As far as this is 20 years ago, so Vince was younger and had just come off a red hot run. That's undeniable.
Well, hang on.
Here we go.
He was red hot when he was in the WWF, but you considered his booking in WCW to be red hot?
No, I didn't say that, did I?
You said he's coming right off of a red hot run. No, he had cooled way the fuck down.
Oh, okay. So so all of a sudden, all of Vince Russo's crappy writing.
Well, hang on now, Jeff. Are you really going to act like people don't believe that, quote unquote, you're only as good as your last match? Now, I'm not saying overall, but I'm saying in sales, people aren't talking. Don't come to me and brag about I won the sales award in 2013. Well, what you've been doing the last 8 years. I'd love to hire the 2013 version of you.
No. Okay. So he had come off some wins and losses, but he had been in the ball game of writing. And I had lived the WCW, and look, Vince made some wacky stuff. But I mean, in that cesspool of WCW creative, man, how many hands were in that? And yes, at times Vince was the lead horse, but at other times he wasn't. And look, he brought a lot of it on himself, and I think he'll admit that to this day. So he had been in the game of formatting and writing and scripting 2-hour episodes, probably at that time, he probably had right up there with the most experience as the business had evolved. I'm not saying booking or matchmaking. I'm talking about a 2-hour show that had backstage and pre-tapes and everything that went along with that.
Now, we're not addressing the elephant in the room. When you're hiring Vince Russo, he technically is working with the World Wrestling Federation. Did you feel like this was a feather in your cap? Was that part of your thinking?
I think that was game, set, match already. And I may be wrong, but I believe that quick 1-day honeymoon or 3 or 4 day honeymoon was over.
Well, what they settled on, according to your dad's book, and I believe even Russo, is that he was going to be offered the position to work from home for like, I don't know, 100 grand a year, 150 grand a year. Yeah. More than what you guys are offering, or he could accept a little less. And again, the exact numbers escape me, 20, 30 grand less, whatever it may be, but he could come to Nashville and actually be hands-on working with the product every week. And at the time he's living in Atlanta, probably not really jumping at the chance to raise kids in Stanford if he can raise them in Atlanta. So he decides to do that. You're friendly with Vince at the time. Is he expressing, Jeff, I really don't want to go back there, but they made a good offer? He accepts your less than deal, meaning he's taking less money to work with you. Talk me through that.
And look, this is one of those instances that I feel like I got pretty good recall a lot of the times, but just hearing you say that, and I can't put my finger on anything, but it's almost like, and I know kind of you're going to come up with a great analogy here, but it's basically when you go to buy a car, the guy has to go through a roundabout way. My gut tells me I didn't believe a word coming out of Vince's mouth that he really had an offer on the table, because if he had, he'd have been there. I felt like that door was shut and he was using it as a negotiating tool. And sure, come on board. Okay, you're going to take less. Great. I'm going to pat you on the back, but let's get to work. I feel like his WWF deal was so soured by his quick experience that he wasn't interested at all. If we didn't, I mean, he just wasn't. Now, if we didn't have anything to offer, he might have taken it to feed his family. But I feel like that ship quickly sailed.
Real quick, and then we'll move on. I do want to ask about the relationship with your dad and Russo, just in one more instance. I know you were sort of explaining to your dad, you do what you do well, and I'll do what I do well, but that's almost the type of conversation you would have with an employee. He is a financially invested partner. And he's been doing this a long time, and he's your dad. So I'm sure that's something he's going to work through, but I get the impression that your dad is also one of those guys who says, hey, any sort of disagreements we're going to have them behind closed doors. When we're out here in public, even if it's just around the other staff, we're going to be a united front. Was that something you and your dad had that was just sort of unspoken, where even if he disagreed, we're going to keep a brave face out here together and defend it?
Well, man, boy, you talk about getting complicated and in a family dynamic, and man, so much water under the bridge between me and my father. But we had those conversations probably before, during, and after. But he's also the kind of guy that say, all right, look, we made an agreement and it's 65-35 or whatever, but you're the ultimate. And because he taught me that philosophy. He's a firm believer. When Lawler booked, he had complete control of the territory, even though my father was majority owner, and vice versa. So this is probably an opportunity here for us to have the discussion. And he voiced his concerns, and I heard them, and they were the same concerns that I heard from, day one. And also, my father wasn't on the road when I was at the WWF and WCW, the good and the bad of my relationship with Vince and the up and down. But he ultimately said, okay, if this is what you think's best, I'll work with it. And that's sort of, look, I knew that he didn't agree with everything Vince. Hell, he didn't agree with everything that came out of my brain.
Right.
Not even close. But we sort of said, all right, let's put the best foot forward and make the best show we possibly can. And knowing not everybody's going to agree what you said, let's everybody get in the same boat and row in the same direction.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what AdFreeShows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-Free Shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that AdFreeShows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. AdFreeShows.com.